Are you advocating black on white violence?
What are we talking about, Jesse?
When you said you want to do this,
Destroy whiteness by any and
destroy
all means?
whiteness by any means, are you advocating violence?
Well, how are you defining violence, Jesse? You're putting words in my mouth.
What do you mean when you say that?
When I say by any and all means, that
Yes.
means that we must not back down from threats that I've received via email and social media this week. We must not back down from political opposition, from destroying the philosophy and ideology of whiteness, which means you must remain committed, particularly as educators, to making sure that white folks understand their structural and social position, they understand white supremacy, and they understand that there is an obligation
such thing
for
as white
them.
supremacy.
We're not going to debate this, Jesse.
It doesn't need debating.
That they need to understand that they have a role to play in dismantling that ideology that puts them in their own minds and in the white imagination ahead of people of color.
Amazing. Do you realize you're fighting an illusion? That what you're fighting?
Oh, I'm not fighting an illusion. I deal with it every
real?
day. I confront it every day. People of color confront it every day.
How do you know what white people are imagining?
Because we talk to them, Jesse.
And what do they tell you?
Oh, they tell us all kinds of things.
Like what?
When we do these studies, we talk to hundreds of students across colleges and universities all across the country.
And they tell you what?
They tell us a lot of different things. So the first thing that they tell us is they mischaracterize the extent to which they feel people of color are having a positive or equitable experience at their college or university, which is clearly refuted by the hundreds of students of color who tell us otherwise.
What's going on, everyone? Stars King here today. I want to get my analysis on this fake racism that a lot of these self-proclaimed pro-blacks always seem to cry about. So you saw it from the intro. The guy made this reference about how, oh, I speak into it every day. And he kind of gave a lie there, right? Just because someone feel like something is the case does not necessarily means it's true, right? You can get a bunch of black people that feel like racism is a big issue in their life. But then when you ask them to articulate it, you'll find out a lot of reasons it's not really racism holding them back. It's other factors that's holding them back, right? Many black people can feel that the criminal justice system is racist because black men are disproportionately in jail. But if someone says, hey, don't black men happen to just commit majority of the crimes? 13% of the population are responsible for breaking the rules, breaking the law. And if someone breaks the law, they get punished. Don't they go to jail? Yes. Okay. So couldn't you just say that these black men are in jail because of actions and behaviors that they did? And it's always this, oh, no, but this. Oh, no, but that. And this is what I'm talking about. There's an allure, right? I call it the racial alibi. Because of my race, I am excused from said responsibility or accountability for said behavior. Oh, it's because black people grow up in poverty. But then when you point out the correlations, hey, look, single moms have a higher propensity of being in poverty versus married couples. Isn't the problem not blackness, but the fact that your community is majority single mothers raised by single moms who have limited resources, limited time to actually invest in their child and actually raise them in a proper manner? Then they can come up with another excuse and another excuse. And it's just a way of internalizing victimhood. And I think that's the allure of racism. I think this is why a lot of pro-black scholars, these pro-black people, who tries to create some type of intellectual argument for defending this internalized victimization of themselves. This is why they don't like the truth, right? And shout out to this Twitter X account. I like this. Mark Twain is a favorite thinker that I love to read and love to hear a lot of his quotes. This quote, I think it hits true to this specific topic. The truth has no defense against a fool determined to believe a lie. And this is how racism has become for a lot of these pro-blackity black types in social media, right? These people, oh, I'm a black supremacist, but God forbid a white man say he's a racial supremacist too, and y'all ready to demonize him and condemn him. And I kind of want to get into this clip. It's a short clip. I don't think I want to spend too much time on this video. But Jesse Lee Peterson, who's my favorite guy, he's going to argue fake racism with this guy and see how the logic is always about absolving responsibility from black people themselves. Because I'm on this channel, if you're new to this channel, my main position is that a lot of the negative outcomes that black people get is due to their own decision-making and behavior and poor judgment. And it's not racism, is like that's a systematic issue. The systematic issue is that the previous generation passed down bad habits, bad values, bad ideas that the newer generations are incentivized to perpetrate. AKA, look at black culture. Our culture is the problem. Our culture creates the incentive structure in which you condition the youth of that community to follow in those footsteps. We have handed down to the next generation a bad tradition. And it is my view that if my generation cuts it off and say, hey, we're going to stop worrying about racism. We're going to worry about how can we better our own community. We're going to worry about things that's within our control and not what's not out that's out of our control. We can't control what happens to us, but we could damn sure control how we respond. And is it a good thing to respond in a negative manner, in a self-defeating manner, to act like we're helpless because of our skin color? And that's the narrative that CRT has pushed in our children. That you kind of, I say, mentally handicap your own children by telling them stuff like, oh, you ain't going to get anywhere. This country's against you. This country's racist against you. When you don't have any viable proof. All you're doing is basis on anecdotal evidence. Oh, we get over police. Well, you live in a neighborhood with a high crime rate. You're 5 times more likely to die at the hands of someone of your own race compared to someone outside of your race. But racism is such a big issue in the black community. How? Make that make sense to me. The data doesn't prove that out. But you're conditioning your kids. You're creating this culture around them being victimized because of the color of their skin, them being helpless because of the color of their skin, to the point where you got this black scholar here, this pro-black scholar, telling Jesse Lee Peterson that essentially that he needs white people to feel guilty about their whiteness, and that he can't do nothing to change he can't change his situation. Black people can't change their situation until white people acknowledge and validate their feelings. This is why I say I don't care about people's acceptance. That's why I laugh when black liberals come in my comment section trying to tell me, oh, you're trying to get the approval of white people. I don't even give a damn about your approval. What makes you think I'm gonna give a damn about white people's approval? Either you agree with me or you don't. I don't give a damn about your skin color. But this is the fallacy of these pro-blacks, these fake pro-blacks. That their whole power structure, their whole bravado is all based on white people's validation. Because I make the argument, if white people don't feel guilty about their whiteness, these people won't even have a standing in public discussion. They want to have newspapers by the Atlantic. They want to get their books sold, because only guilty white liberals really buy their books. That's where they're making all this money off of their anti-racist books. Ibram X. Kendi, funded by a bunch of white liberal women, right? Because they love these struggle sessions because white liberals have a negative bias against their own racial group. This is the money makers for these anti-race, critical race theory kind of intellectuals. This is why they can't let racism die, because that's a good money hustle for them. But if you come out as a black conservative, black Democrats are quick to call you a grifter, a right-wing grifter, a sellout. But how is Ibram X. Kendi not a sellout when people who are buying his books are mostly white people? He's making you guys look like losers. He's making black community look like losers, look like helpless, retarded children, to boost the self-esteem and the, oh my God, feeding into the white liberal savior complex to sell his books, but y'all not calling him a sellout. But if it's both sides, Kenny. No, y'all don't hold both sides accountable. Y'all not consistent. Because the minute I give some good points about the Democrats, y'all want to try to make a false equivalency with the Republicans. Make it make sense. But I digress. I think I went on a little tangent there. So let's get into this video some more.
How
So when
do
we're
we
talking
know
about
you're not making that up? That's because liberals tend to lie. They don't tell the truth.
Yeah,
How do we
but
know
a
you're
liberal,
not making that
is
up?
one thing, and that's what you're labeling me. I'm a scholar. Okay, I've spent a decade studying and engaged in rigorous research on this particular topic. I've talked to thousands of people about this. I've conducted surveys on this, and so we're not going to reduce.
Surveys don't prove a reality. Surveys only prove a narrative. Surveys only prove that these certain people believe this is true. It doesn't prove that this thing is true in actuality. It doesn't. All you're doing is say, hey, black people believe that racism is a big problem in America. That doesn't prove that racism is a big problem in America. It just, all you did was say, hey, black people think this. That's all you just did. So there's not much research to it. It just means that, hey, these people believe this. Okay. Is it true though? No, it doesn't tell me if it's true or not. Just like if black people, just the example I gave about the criminal justice system. Black people are disproportionately in jail. Many black people believe it's due to racism and racial bias. I put out an example. I put out a counterpoint. Hey, black people just happen to commit more crimes than other people. Driving while black. Well, police like to pull over black people for no reason. Well, but on a bound of probabilities, black people on average, depending on race, you can find these stats somewhere online. Black people drive higher miles per hour than other racial groups of people. So when those people who drive at a higher miles per hour will be more likely to get pulled over by cops for speeding. That's why I say that's the joke I always say. Black people complain, "Oh, I got pulled over driving while black," but they don't tell you that they were speeding too. They don't tell you that part. They just tell you, "Oh, cops pulled me over for no reason." It's not like you're doing a 40 over in a 20, right? Like you was going 20 miles faster than you were supposed to, right? But you want to pretend, oh, they just pulled you over for no reason. And this is absolving a responsibility, because the moment you do something, the moment people act out, they try to say, "Oh no, it's because of my skin color," not because of your nasty personality, not because of your rude behavior that you got the negative outcomes that you were looking for, quite frankly, but you want to excuse it on your race. Right? This is the problem I have with collectivist thinking, but I digress.
Reduce what it is that I do as a profession in the same way that you have a profession here as to a matter of a public opinion.
But how
that
do
is
you
not
know
the case. It is
that
empirical
not,
evidence.
How do you know that it's not blacks imagining this so-called racism?
Exactly. And I hate, look, I'm an empiricist. What he said was not empiricist. That's rationalism. Like, you're just trying to make a rationalization. Oh, if a bunch of group of people believe something is racist, it must be racist. No, it's not. These people can be misunderstanding. These people can be caught up in a narrative, because that's all your surveys really prove, that black people believe a certain narrative. That's it. That's not empirical. Humans are both thinking and feeling creatures. How you know what it's based in reality, or it's just based on something that it was taught to them? Because we know in black culture, black people are taught to perceive the world in a certain light, to see the world through a racial lens, to the point where they exclude themselves from the rest of society. Oh, we have to have all black this. We have to have black only this, black only that. You can't understand me unless you are black man, black woman, black this, black that. Everything got to be black this. But the minute you say, hey, let's just do a colorblind approach. Oh, no, you're a racist. Because you don't want to factor in race into an angle, into an equation. When if you remove race out of most situations that black people complain racism for, you can find other reasons for why that behavior happened. But a lot of people, surface level thinkers, they want to make one factor the end all be all of all their negative outcomes, all the disparities they see in society. And in reality, that's not an empirical approach. An empirical approach understands that it's a multi-factor analysis, right? A multifaceted analysis. That means there's other factors that come into play, and the only way you can know for sure what is the actual cause of these results is to remove certain factors so you can isolate them. Okay, if I do things if I exclude everything else but race, do I see the disparity there? Not really. If I add these factors there, do I see an outcome? Do I see a disparity then? Yes, I do. That's how you make empirical evidence. What this guy's saying, just talking out of his butt, in my view, because that's how I dissect ideas. This guy claims to be a scholar, but I think he's just using it as a way of trying to intimidate people not to challenge what he has to say. Because so far, he hasn't really told us anything about how racism has drastically affected them. But maybe that's because I keep pausing it every 30 seconds. Maybe that's the case. But let's get back into the video.
Because blacks did not imagine what happened to Tamir Rice when he's gunned down as a 12-year-old playing with the toy gun, where when a white boy playing with the toy gun would not even remotely have to deal with the same set of circumstances.
Well, that's a black guy in Ohio who took the orange tube. This
is a 12-year-old boy.
Indicate that it was a
this is a 12-year-old boy in a playground.
It was a real gun.
This is a 12-year-old boy in a playground. Jesse.
That's the one with the BB gun.
Okay, black folks ain't imagining Trayvon Martin getting gunned down in the community to which he belongs. These are not imagined things.
Was
These
that
are
the
actual
one with
experiences.
the BB gun? I'm asking.
Excuse me?
Was that the guy with the BB gun?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he had a BB gun.
No, he had a toy gun. He had a toy gun.
Taken off the
this is also talking about John Crawford in Ohio, who was gunned down in a Walmart.
You mentioned this guy, John Crawford. He had a realistic looking gun that he wouldn't put down, and apparently it was an unfortunate mistake. But does that count that he has a realistic looking gun?
No, he's in a store in the section that's selling toy guns and also sells real guns where you're actually able to be in an open carry state where you're allowed to be in possession of a firearm.
That's
So it's within the officer's right to assume that he had a gun, right? This is the discounting of behavior, right? They don't want to factor in how the individual's personal behavior played into how they got themselves in a certain situation. Because that's how I was taught. Like this is what happens when you're not raised by a father. My dad taught me, hey, look, you contribute 50% of any interaction you're in. You can't control the other 50. You can't control how people respond to you. Only you can control your actions, your decisions, and you can think when you get into tough and bad situations, you're supposed to think, how can I not make this worse? But black people have this idea, and this is something that these scholars be putting into black people's mind. That's why I said we get passed down bad ideas and bad mindsets where we don't self-reflect and look at, hey, how did I contribute to this situation escalating like this? We're not taught to think that way. I don't know why. Because probably because in school we've been conditioned to scapegoat everything due to racism. Nothing's our fault. It's racism fault. You're a racist white man if you did anything to me. But if another black man shoot me in the hood, no one want to say nothing because snitches get stitches, huh? Bad ideas, bad values, and you wonder why the crime rate is so high. Why black on black crime is so high. He want to talk about how dude gets shoot down because he has a realistic looking gun after he's been told, hey, put that gun away, put it down. Like, imagine you're the officer in that situation. That's why I like when they do the ride-alongs with cops and actually get a taste of what it's like to be a cop confronting these criminals that you don't know is if they're gonna do something to you, you don't know how they're gonna react to you when you show up to them. They don't understand the inherent danger. They just expect everyone to be calm, cool, and collected and treat them like, nah, you ain't gonna roll up like that. He want to talk about those situations, but he don't want to talk about the situation where drive-by shootings happen and a 5-year-old girl gets shot by a stray bullet. How when you go to Chicago, commonly called Chirac, when you go over there and they're doing shootings every day in these neighborhoods, even though it's supposed to be a gun-free state, the criminals still have guns. Don't know how. Pretty much these people are hostages in their own communities. He don't talk about how they get hit with stray bullets, how they get gunned down in the streets. He don't have nothing about that because he don't want to look at the behaviors of his own community where you have actually more influence and more impact over than trying to worry about what other white people are doing, what people outside your community are doing. Fix your own problems before you go out into the world. If I teach my kid how to operate outside of the world, he minimizes the risk against getting himself in those situations. When he gets stopped by the authorities, hey, he's been taught by me, his father, how to respect authority. Right now, my son's going through his rebellious age. My 3-year-old son. He doesn't want to listen today. And I had to lay down the law. And he has to understand how to work with authority. And I think that a lot of people raised by single moms, they don't know how to act with authority. They think, oh, my mom don't do this to me. My mom called me. My mom caters to me. So you should cater to me too. And that's the bad mindset I think I see a lot in the black community. And I think that the Democrats pander to this need of feeling, oh, like coddled. I don't know if you want to call it coddling, but you got to be understanding. No, people do not owe you understanding. That's how I grew up. You seek to understand so you could be understood. That's how I thought. Like, you have to drive that. You can't sit there and expect someone else to do it for you. You can't expect other people to just treat you with kid gloves. And that's what we're noticing a lot in these communities. Because the minute these women's sons go to jail, it's all of a sudden they're a victim. Oh, my son will never do this. But then you find out this kid had a rap sheet 50 pages long. And you're like, what do you mean your son will never do this? Either you're oblivious or you're lying. My baby. And this is the mindset that a lot of men are growing up in the black community. And I think this is why a lot of black men go to jail. Because they have this idea that the world's going to coddle them. The world's going to cater to them. I know I'm talking to some black women right now, right? Black women always complaining about the mama boys pandemic, right? Oh, everything for his mama. Oh, he want me to be his mom. They want the world to be your mom. And what the father teaches to the son is that, hey, the world's not going to be as forgiving as me, his father, and his mother. The world's not going to care about you the same way we're going to care about you. We hold back when we punish you. The world won't. And that was a common understanding in the black community. But now, after decades and decades and decades of single mother households, boys have lost this understanding of reciprocity, like understanding the realities of the world. And I think this is how we get a lot of trouble in our communities. I just wanted to touch on that because I don't know. I feel like racism is starting to really lose its weight in our society because it's been so overused, overblown, and it's been going. It's like a superficial kind of coding, like catch-all, like a generalized catch-all for any negative outcomes that the black community experience, and it gives no pathways to actually create a plan or a comprehensive plan to actually fix the problems that could be measured and set up to have a better outcome for the future generations. And I think I'm starting to get tired of that. I think Jesse Lee Peterson was good to really challenge this guy. I know it could have gone longer, but I don't want this video to be too long. Let me know your thoughts about fake racism, and do you believe that a lot of uh, people use it to absolve themselves of personal responsibility and a personal accountability for the actions and decisions making that they make at an individual level and as a community level? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.